We've got fresh Miami Dolphins practice takeaways from Tuesday, August 5th, and trust me, this one's worth your attention. With joint practices against the Chicago Bears later this week and the first preseason game set for Sunday, the Dolphins are staying sharp at Miami Gardens. Let's break down the biggest highlights, news, and standout moments from the field. And we start with a massive positive. Miami's pass rush looks scary good. From what I've seen in training camp, this unit could be one of the most dominant forces in the NFL this season. Just imagine Chop Robinson, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Zach Sealer, Kenneth Grant, all healthy, all hungry, all flying at quarterbacks. Day after day in camp, they've been relentless, setting the tone for what could be a truly special 2025 season. Before we get to the rest of today's updates, make sure you're part of the family. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and don't forget to turn on the bell icon so you never miss the latest Dolphins news. Now, let's dive back in. Tuesday's practice wasn't all sunshine for Miami, though. The offensive line took some hits, figuratively and literally. Without Austin Jackson at right tackle due to injury, the O-line showed some weak spots. Sure, the group has improved compared to last year, especially with James Daniels and Jonah Savia stepping in. But when you're up against a defensive front this stacked, you're going to lose some battles. What stood out today was that it wasn't just the usual stars, Phillips, Chubb, and Robinson, causing havoc. Two under-the-radar names stole the show, Muhammad Kamara and Derek McClendon too. Kamara, the second-year edge rusher from Colorado State, is still fighting for a roster spot. He's a fringe guy, but performances like today could punch his ticket as a fourth or fifth pass rusher. McClendon also flashed, showing quickness and energy that had offensive linemen scrambling. If the depth guys are playing like this in August, just imagine what this defense could look like when the games actually count. When you think about what's coming in this week's joint practices, one matchup jumps right off the page. Miami's pass rush versus the Bears' offensive line. Chicago's unit has improved from last year, no doubt, but this will be a real test. See, it's one thing for our defense to keep breaking Miami's own offensive line in camp. That group is better than it was in 2024, but it's still unproven in the eyes of many. We just haven't seen them play together enough to call them established. Now imagine the Dolphins front, led by Chop Robinson, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Zach Sealer, and Kenneth Grant, going up against a veteran Bears O-line that already has some stability. If our pass rush can dominate that group in both one-on-ones and full-team drills, it would confirm what I've been thinking all camp. This defensive front has the potential to be one of the NFL's most feared units in 2025. On the flip side, I'll be watching closely to see how Miami's own offensive line responds. It's been hit or miss in camp. Patrick Paul has stacked some great reps. Jonah Savia has flashed in drills. But when the pads are on and it's 5-on-5 in live action, the results have been mixed. With Austin Jackson still sidelined by a lower body injury, this will be an early gut check. The Bears' defensive front isn't Miami's level, but it's no pushover. They've got disruptive veterans and a few emerging talents who can challenge any blocker. That's exactly the kind of matchup you want in August. Tough enough to expose flaws, but not so overwhelming that you can't make adjustments. For Miami, it's simple. Win the trench battles this week, and it'll send a message to the rest of the league before the preseason even starts. The Bears' defensive line is in that sweet spot, competitive enough to push you, but not so overpowering that it kills confidence like facing a juggernaut such as Philadelphia. That's why this joint practice is a golden opportunity for Miami's offensive line. Sure, it's disappointing that Austin Jackson won't be available. It would have been valuable to see the projected starting five: Patrick Paul, Jonah Savia, Aaron Brewer, James Daniels, and Austin Jackson, all working together against a different NFL front. But even without him, this matchup will tell us plenty about where the unit stands. The third storyline I'm locked in on is a one-on-one battle that could steal the show: Second-year undrafted corner Storm Duck against Chicago's top receivers, especially DJ Moore. Storm has quietly been one of the biggest revelations in camp, often lining up as Miami's CB1 in drills. He's already gone head-to-head with Tyreek Hill in intense one-on-ones, as well as holding his own in 7-on-7 and full 11-on-11 team work. If he can step onto the field this week and keep pace with Moore, plus talented targets like Romo Duns and Luther Burden, that's going to speak volumes. Late last season, Duck stepped in for the injured Cam Smith and held his own opposite Jalen Ramsey, but the competition wasn't exactly elite. This week's challenge? It's different. If he thrives here, Miami might have found a genuine lockdown corner in the most unexpected way. Late last season, Storm Duck stepped in as a rookie undrafted free agent and held his own. But let's be real, the competition wasn't exactly elite. Miami was facing the Jets, Browns, and 49ers in those final weeks, all teams picking in the top half of the NFL draft. This year feels different. Duck now has experience, confidence, and a better grasp of what it takes to thrive in the league. If the season started today, the boundary corner spots would likely go to Storm Duck and Jack Jones, with Mike Hilton patrolling the slot. Deep at safety, you'd have Minkah Fitzpatrick and Ifeatu Melifonwu. That's a strong core. But this week will be a true test. Chicago's offense might not be Miami's level overall, but they've got weapons. DJ Moore, Romo Duns, Luther Burden, DeAndre Swift, and tight end Cole Kmet, for a secondary that's been making noise in camp. This is exactly the kind of matchup you want to measure yourself against. The fourth storyline I'm watching closely is Jalen Waddle still Tua Tagovailoa's top target? Through training camp so far, he's been the most heavily targeted receiver in team drills, consistently stepping up in big moments. Waddle's speed and route running have been on full display, and if that connection with Tua keeps building, it could spell trouble for every defense on the Dolphins' schedule this year. If I had to predict right now which receiver will have the bigger statistical season, my pick would be Jalen Waddle over Tyreek Hill. It feels like Mike McDaniel is already starting to feature Waddle as Miami's true WR1, and with the uncertainty surrounding Hill's future due to his massive cap hit next year, that shift makes sense. Waddle isn't just the future. He's looking like the present. That's why this week's matchup matters. Chicago's secondary is talented, but without their top corner, Jalen Johnson, the Bears will be leaning on nickel standout Kyler Gordon, Tariq Stevenson, and a few young depth players. On paper, Waddle and Hill should dominate these matchups on the outside. If they don't, it'll raise some legitimate questions about Miami's passing attack heading into the season. This joint practice is more than just a tune-up. It's a measuring stick for how dangerous this Dolphins offense can be when their two-star receivers are both healthy and on the field together. The final thing I'll be watching in this joint practice is how clean the operation looks. Miami's offense is one of the most complex in the league, loaded with motion, shifts, and timing-based concepts like the famous cheat motion. That level of detail can be deadly for defenses, but it also demands precision from every player. In early August, with 3 preseason games still to come, I expect there might be some false starts or misalignments. But the fewer of those we see now, the better I'll feel about this unit heading into the season. If the motions are sharp, players are set quickly, and there are minimal pre-snap penalties, it'll show that this group is already in sync. Tua Tagovailoa's leadership is a big part of that. He's been more vocal this year, and it's showing in how the offense operates. This week, I want it to be obvious that Miami not only has the better quarterback in this matchup, but that Tua is firmly in the upper half of NFL starters right now. Caleb Williams may have a bright future, but at this moment, the gap between him and Tua should be clear on the practice field. Friday's joint practice will be a chance for Miami to prove it, in execution, in discipline, and in quarterback play.